Hello and welcome along to the Red Tinted Glasses podcast. It is the evening after the night before as the Dons crashed out of the Conference League after a disappointing defeat in Bucharest. Disappointing evening, which we'll go over in a bit more depth. The Dons entering the Conference League, that draw being made at lunchtime, and some exciting ties, and an exciting co-host joining me for this evening. Delighted to be welcoming fellow Dons fan and YouTube star Aaron Jones. Aaron, welcome to the podcast for your debut. How's it going?
Fine, thanks. How are you? Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me just now. Really appreciated joining me on that short notice. So, a disappointing night last night. What was your
Yeah,
thoughts to that defeat?
it was very tough to watch it in a pub full of Aberdeen fans last night. Let's just say a few very dull faces after that penalty decision, very controversial, especially among Don's fans. I feel like we were decent first half an hour, had a couple chances to maybe go ahead in the game, but as soon as that controversial decision was made, I feel like that just killed the game off, and SCSB kind of got their rhythm back and obviously won the game.
Yeah, that was a real killer decision. And I guess a lot happened in terms of decisions last night. The
Yeah,
first one being Jimmy Tilleen's starting 11, a lot of talk going into the game. Would he start Yengi? Would Sockler, Polvara get their chance? Shaden Morris, a lot of talk around him, given his lack of availability in the first leg. He became available for the second leg until it looks like Luton Town have made a bid
yeah.
late on and he missed out. But 5 changes to the starting lineup. Were you happy with the team that Jimmy put out?
I feel like I'm glad that he gave Polvara and Sockler a start. Again, Polvara is one where makes a really, really good impact when he comes on off the bench. And he's shown that last few games, and I feel like he really deserved a chance last night. But to bring him off at half time was again another controversial decision from the manager, because I feel like he had a lot of touches in that first half and was really stuck into every challenge. And the player he came off for was again Nilsson, which didn't show much when he came on. But I'm glad he gave Povar and Sockler a chance because they've shown that they've got the quality.
How much do you think both of them? It's difficult, obviously, with them both only getting 45 minutes. But do you think both of them showed enough in that 45 minutes to potentially get a start on Sunday against Falkirk?
I think, especially Povara, I think he was very. He kind of solidified that position in the midfield when he was playing in that first half last night. Again, it's difficult. The crowd, going into a different country, into Romania on a big European night in the second leg
Mhm.
is a lot of pressure compared to a game at Pataudry against the likes of Falkirk, Livingston. Um, but I feel like in that first leg when he did come on, he really did. He really coped with that pressure,
Mhm.
and again that goal, him and Sockler, was fantastic, and I feel like he did do enough to start with Sockler on Sunday.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me disappointing about Esther last night was that chance in the first 5
Oh yeah.
minutes.
hmm
I don't know. Do you think he should score it?
Again, it's a tight one to call because you don't know. I'm not really sure on it, to be honest. Certainly, the people in our pub last night were not happy with that chance.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a good save from the keeper. But I feel like with how close it is to the goal, I think he should score it.
Yeah, I think he should as well. I know people say it's early in the game. He's maybe a bit rusty, but
Yeah,
I also think had it been Yengi with that chance, there wouldn't have been the maybe acceptance of the miss. And I think either striker's got to score. And I know from our own Twitter page, we put out the fact that FCSB had conceded in every
Mhm.
competitive game at home so far this season. Of course, along came Aberdeen to break
Yeah,
that record. The start though was encouraging. I want to go back to that Shaden Morris news, the fact that it looks like he's
hmm
leaving the club. Do you think now that means we need to get another winger in before the deadline closes? And how much of a miss do you think he's going to be?
he was pivotal to our squad last season. What was it like? 18 plus GA last season for us, which is incredible for the team. But he was so pivotal to our team last season, and he showed it in the Scottish Cup final with that ball in for Schmeichel's own goal. He's just the
Mhm.
fans love him as well, and there's a reason he won Player of the Year. Of his also difference coming off the bench, because he was that player who'd, if there was a player coming off, he'd easily come on, sprint down the line, put a ball in, and we get a goal. So it's almost a guaranteed goal with Shaden Morris whipping the ball into the box, and he will definitely be missed. So I'd say we need to strongly replace him.
Yeah, I guess maybe that is the signing of Bilalovic as one eye
Yeah.
on Shaden leaving, and I think you're right in terms of the goal involvement he had last season. It will be a miss. Also, right to point out, he won Player of the Year. I know that was a
Mhm.
controversial
Yeah.
decision for some in the support, but I think the impact he had last season, you're absolutely right, Aaron. That can't be dismissed at all. And if that signing does go over the line, then all the best to Shaden, and thanks for the memories from the 24th of May for sure, because he gave us a day and
Yeah.
a video for yourself on your channel that will live long in the memory.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I thought we held our own for large parts. We looked the better team last night in
Yeah.
the first half hour, but the game changes
Mhm.
in probably one of the most bewildering decisions. And as Paul Donaldson says, I don't think
Mhm.
we've seen a refereeing decision so widely condemned across Scottish football as that one last night. I mean, give us the reaction. What must have been like in the pub last night from those watching? Disbelief?
It was it was very toxic to say the least. We all thought in the pub that it was to do with the contact on the player because
Hmm.
how he went down, he was holding his foot and stuff. But then the whole pub, including me, realised that it slightly hit Jensen's hand, his arm, which was also very, very controversial. As people say, it's hit off the FCSB player and hit onto his arm,
Hmm.
or his arm was close to his body. But in my opinion, and with everyone in the pub's opinions, it's just not a penalty and just killed the game off for the Dons, to be honest.
You're absolutely right. Killed off the game for the Dons, and I think compounded by the fact the referee then goes on to book um, Alexander Jensen, who'd already picked up a silly booking when we struggled with the playing out from the back from Mitov. I think
Yeah.
both Jensen and Sockler, in my opinion, picked up really needless bookings in that
Mhm.
first half. Potentially a factor in why Esther was subbed off at halftime, given that
Yeah.
refereeing performance. But I would just love the referee to be a bit stronger in that decision, because of
Mhm.
course when you freeze it down, it becomes a more obvious decision. And as David McLennan says, when it goes to VAR, there are few refs that are brave enough to stick with their on field decision. And again, Paul Donaldson also saying there only seemed to be one angle, and it was very much a frozen angle. They didn't play it through in that real time speed. But again, Alexander Jensen's come in for some criticism this season. He's caught out a little bit, which leads to him giving away the penalty, I guess, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
regardless of your thoughts on it. But did it feel like again last night we were shooting ourselves in the foot with some of the goals we conceded?
Uh, I think the third goal was it's not really our fault. It was a brilliant finish. And then the second goal was very unlucky with the deflection.
Hmm.
But again, what we did second half, we just did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And again, to touch on what I said earlier, the changes that Thielen made at halftime just didn't work,
Hmm.
especially bringing on Nilsson, um, coming on for Povar. I just didn't think it worked in the midfield. I don't really think he had much impact on the game, whereas
Yeah.
Povar was getting stuck into challenges, pushing up the pitch for Aberdeen. But um, again, as I'm going to touch on again, it just killed off the game. 10 versus 11, maybe 12 with the referee, as people are saying. It's
13 if you
just,
include their owner.
yeah, it's just a big advantage for them, and yeah, that's why we lost the game.
Yeah, I think you're right. It killed. the momentum. But I mean, a 1-0 down, you are still in the game. I think the biggest thing that killed it was the fact we went down to 10 men.
Yeah.
And I agree, the subs for me were questionable. Again, I can see why people understood the changes in terms of solidifying the midfield, but I agree. I think Polvara could have done that job if given the trust by the manager, and I don't know if it is a lack of trust from Jimmy Tillene. But as
Yeah.
Stephen McPhee says, Nielsen was supposed to be maybe on for damage limitation, but he was the damage. And people have said maybe I've been too protective of Jimmy Tillene. I don't know what your opinion on Jimmy Tillene is, Aaron, but now that we're out of Europe, we've got Falkirk and Livingston coming up at home, and make sure you check out Aaron's channel for his vlogs on those games coming up as well. Is Jimmy under pressure going into Sunday for you?
It's as simple as a must win. We have to win against Falkirk on Sunday. If we don't, then there'll be massive questions asked. Because if you look at the start Falkirk have had, a draw and a loss, which isn't great, especially to Livingston, which I thought was a very, very tough loss for them. And not a good track record against David Martindale. But again, there is an excuse of Thursday, but against a weak Falkirk side, we have to win this game. Because currently we're bottom of the league. Yes, we've got a game in hand on most teams. We have to win it. Because this is it's a big chance for us, considering Falkirk are probably one of the weakest sides in the league, in my opinion. And it will be tough because newly promoted, there is that little bit of pressure on us, but I feel like Thielen will be questioned if we don't win the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think there will be questions asked of Jimmy if we fail to win on Sunday. You're right, we do have that game in hand over other teams, and I think I'm not quite yet at panic stations given that fact. And if we picked up the 3 points, I think we become level on points with fourth place. I know obviously there's more games to be played over the course of the weekend, but we're not that far out of it domestically. The biggest disappointment for me is potentially how underprepared we've gone into that playoff qualifier.
Yeah.
You look back at the first leg in terms of the goals we gifted FCSB. Yeah, okay, we can't take anything away from them. Second leg, all the factors seem to be out with our control, but up top we were undercooked. Midfield, potentially, I know they couldn't have foreseen the circumstances around Shaden Morris, but Stephen Gunn and Alan Burrows both said that we'd learned our lessons from the last time we were in the group stages. We were going to be better prepared. It feels like our preparation for this playoff wasn't the best. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and again, it shows on the aggregate score of 5-2, which isn't great. I think the squad wasn't. It seemed tired last night at some parts of the game.
Yeah,
we just didn't look good. We looked good for the first half an hour, but for the rest of the game, we just didn't look good. And compared to maybe the BK Hacking game last season, I think that first leg was again really good. A 2-2 draw, bringing it back, kind of identical to this season. And then second leg, it just fades out, like we do so many occasions. But maybe dropping into the Conference League is what's best for us. But after that draw today, I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, it did look like the squad was tired at some parts during the 90 minutes.
I think actually that's a really good point, Aaron. We did look a bit leggy, and I know maybe it was a warm night in Bucharest. You're chasing the ball with 10 men, but things haven't really clicked. And again, I know we might caveat that with the fact that the teams we've played so far in terms of Hearts and Celtic are so-called tough games in inverted commas for starting the league. But we've put this pressure on ourselves, and I'm going to say the board have put a bit of pressure on the manager's head with how we've led ourselves into Falkirk. I still think some judgment needs to be reserved until that transfer window closes on Monday night, and I think there are going to be some comings and goings between now and then, and that certainly feels needed. But as you said, we've now dropped into the Conference League. The Conference League, everyone said pre-Europe was going to be the easier competition, allow us more wins, better opportunity. Do you still have that thought
Oh,
after that draw today, Aaron?
it, I've seen a stat online and that how Aberdeen are the lowest rated team in
Hmm.
between the teams we've been drawn with, which is
Yeah.
not a good sign going into the games. Usually you think you get a few easy ties there, here and there, possibly a couple of wins, but there's probably one game which I'm confident for, and the rest a bit of a mixed bag. But
And which
there
games
are
are you
there are
confident for?
very there are very very tough teams in there, and with the form that we're on at the moment, who knows what can happen.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, very. What's the game you're confident for?
I think it's the Noah at home, the
Yeah, I think
Armenian side.
that's gonna be the one that everyone's confident for. But look, they're gonna be no mugs. I don't think anybody at this stage is
Yeah,
gonna be mugs. And Paul Donaldson speaking about the speculation around Kevin Nisbet. I can't believe how much traction this WhatsApp rumors gathered, because I believe from where it started, and I know who started it's nonsense, and the fact that it made it onto STV is some going. But if that comes off, I would be delighted with it. Obviously, there's a former striker going in another direction, which has left a bit of a sour taste. But you mentioned there, Aaron, about the draw and how we're the lowest ranked out of
mm,
the six teams, and I think there's another stat. Average on like the opponent index, we've got the hardest opponents per group as well,
yeah,
and we've been the unluckiest opponents per draw. So going through that draw for anyone that has been living under a rock, from pot one, Shakhtar Donetsk. How do you feel about them? Champions League team. They came through after beating Servette in extra time last night, won the cup and sitting third in the league. So again, they've got a bit of pedigree about them on the European stage. For me, I'm glad they're at home. I think that'll be a good tie.
yeah. I think we've got a definite slight advantage with the game being at home. I think if it was away at Shakhtar Donetsk, we'd get absolutely battered, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But I'm glad it's up to Tawdry because on a big European night, you just never know what's going to happen. Simple as like just Frankfurt, we played our second team,
Mm-hmm.
and we pretty much dominated them and won the game. So you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I suppose it's also one of those, depending when we play them,
Yeah.
could it be that they've picked up enough points that they're qualified? Could it be that we play them early and that becomes a little bit tougher? Because, it's kind of estimated that 7 or 8 points will be enough to see us through to the next stage. Do you think first reaction on seeing that draw, that's achievable with the teams that we've got at home?
Um, I
I think that
think
reaction says it all.
uh, I'm a bit 50-50 with it at the moment. Kind of just scouting out how good these teams are because,
Mhm.
as I said, with FCSB, we thought they were the easiest draw out of the
Yeah.
teams we could play, and look what happened. So you just never know what's going to happen. They could be really good, they could be really bad. But I think that Strasbourg game, I think they were proper loving the fact that they qualified for Europe.
Mhm.
That is again a possible chance to get 3 points off at home,
Yeah.
especially. I think you never know. AK Larnaca away will be a mixed bag, but I definitely think we can pick up a couple of points in there. Definitely win. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I feel like we can pick up a couple of points.
Yeah, I think I'll be disappointed if we don't pick up anything. As you've already
Mm,
highlighted, I think
yeah,
everyone's going to look at that Noah game at home as the one we should be picking up 3 points. Obviously, that being the pot six team, no reason why we couldn't do something in Larnaca. But yeah, going back, obviously getting the top seeds out of pot two in Sparta Prague, who currently sit top of the Czech league. Tough draw on them, but what a trip for the fans! A trip to Prague.
I'm already looking at flights to be honest to
Yeah,
Prague. Not too bad of in terms of financially, but it'd just be a dream to go away from home watching your team play in Europe again.
yeah,
It does come often slightly, but I was really, really jealous of the Frankfurt trip.
mm-hmm.
It looked amazing, and especially being in such a big team like Frankfurt,
Yeah,
I feel like Prague would be probably the best away day in terms of The city is really nice as well, and
Mhm.
yeah, in my
I
opinion,
think
I'm the one looking at
you're right. I think
Prague.
Prague's going to be the one in terms of the city, the trip that most fans are going to do. I think it's just a shame that in terms of the ticket allocations for that one, based on previous seasons, around about 960 to 980, it'll be
Mhm.
a bit of a scramble and will nowhere near meet the demand of those travelling. I'm sure there might be some that find their way into the home end, similar to like what happens on Scotland away days. The section closest to the away end ends up becoming an unofficial away end. And not that I'm
Mhm.
encouraging that, by the way, for Aberdeen at this moment in time. Strasbourg, as you've said, they're pretty much buzzing after beating Brøndby to get into
Yeah.
here. 100 million euros they've already spent this summer in back-to-back 1-0 wins in League On to start their season. So I think I'm glad we've got them at home, but again, I think that'll be a tougher test than potentially it looks on paper. Athens away, obviously that's the club James Penrice went to.
Yeah.
Their stadium looks absolutely gorgeous. In terms of Aberdeen's new stadium, I wouldn't be opposed to us planning around them.
Mhm.
Won their first game of the season that the Greek league just started at the weekend. For me, that's now looking as one of up there with the good trips as well. It looks about 16 to 1700 tickets we could be getting. That high end more probably are closer to that 1600 mark. But again,
Mhm.
Athens, you've been there quite recently, have you not? A
Yeah.
good, I'll be a good trip for the fans.
Yeah. I've been speaking because I actually did visit the AK Athens Stadium in the summer with my dad, and I was saying it's a good away trip. Greece, the city is really nice, but he was saying like the fans are not, they're a little bit on the dodgy side,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say it's a dodgy area around the stadium, but it is. It's not the safest of places, especially after a night game. But the stadium is unbelievable. Recently manufactured as well. One of the newest stadiums in Greece. I've heard as well, and
Mm-hmm.
it would be amazing with Aberdeen playing there.
Yeah, definitely one I'm looking forward to, like yourself, scouted out some flight options. Difficult as well, obviously, with the fixtures not yet being
Yeah. Hmm.
released to try and work out the right prices, but just getting
Hmm.
myself a ballpark figure. Another good away trip for fans, Larnaca, obviously can make that a week, especially with one of the game weeks. I think it's game week 2 falling in the second week of the school holidays. I'm sure there'll be a few expect it or hoping Larnaca is there and they could make a week of it. They actually beat Legia Warsaw. They could
Hmm.
have potentially been opponents for Hibs as well. Haven't started their league season yet, but were last season's cup winners. Again, tickets. There's some debate on what allocation we're going to get for them, with again previous games being around the 500 mark. So again, from a fan's point of view, good trip depending on ticket allocations. A trip that probably, given that them being from pot 5, we should be looking at picking up points in. And then, as you've mentioned, Noah, I think the club will be delighted that we've got them at home and
Hmm.
not having to face a logistical trip to Armenia. But again, as much as they are the favourable tie, they won the Cup and League last season, have won both their league games so far this season, although their more recent league games have been postponed to try and help them in Europe. So they have got pedigree in this competition last season and finished 31 out of the
Hmm.
36 teams. So no team is going to be easy and shouldn't be disrespected.
Yeah.
And looking at their form from Europe, they have maybe struggled in terms of getting positive results away from
Hmm.
home. So yeah, potentially that's that benefit. But overall, what was your reaction? Did you feel it's a tough draw, or were you
Um,
overall happy with it?
there's a lot of potential being some really, really good away days in there, but
Hmm.
not including the away day side of it. It's just if we can actually win these games, which is I'm stuck on the fence on at the minute.
Hmm.
Kind of need to see how their form is going into the game.
Yeah.
And again, the transfer window's not. closed there, I'm pretty sure. So there's still potential to be some good transfers for the clubs. So you just never know what's going to happen. As you said, Strasbourg have done a lot financially, and they've started well in France this season. So you just never know what's going to happen going into the game.
You don't, and that's the thing as well. These games don't start until October. We've
Yeah.
not started great, so we've got an opportunity to get a bit of momentum. That hopefully starts this Sunday against Falkirk as well. Speaking one final thing on the European games as well, I mentioned it on the last episode that we have been kindly donated 2 tickets for the Legends Lounge for this entire season, but they can be used for the European games coming up. We're in 2 minds about doing an auction or a raffle about it. So what we might do is auction it off through a silent auction. So you can email us on redtintedglassespodcast@gmail.com with your bid. There is a reserve of £400 on that. And if you want to then book it for one of those home European games, you can, or want to use it for a league game, you can also do that. And we'll also have 2 tickets for the main stand to auction off for the European games as well. So an opportunity there. Aaron, of course, for those home games and coming up on Sunday as well, your vlog will continue. It's been a pleasure getting you on the podcast tonight. But for those maybe now looking for some extra Dons content after this episode or going forward, where can they find your channel?
I'm Aaron Jones Football on YouTube.
Perfect. And make sure to check out Aaron's channel. Subscribe to our channel if you're new, but also if you haven't already done so on Aaron's channel, subscribe to his channel, leave a like on both our videos, and follow for more content. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us on the show tonight. Thank you everyone else for watching this quick video, and we'll see you back after Falkirk to review the action. Until then, see you then.
Thank you very much.